Hi, how are y'all doing today? It's another day in paradise, yeah? It's a gloomy day here in Northwest Ohio. I'm already missing the sun from yesterday. It's like in every other thing. Let me talk straight. And every other day kind of a thing that's been going on. One day it's nice and sunny and warm. The next day it's overcast and gloomy and a little chilly for this Floridian. Anyway, my name is Victoria, and I am co-owner of OTR Smokehouse. We are a little food truck with big dreams, serving really good food and amazing sauce. So, today's been kind of a conundrum for me. I had one plan, and it kind of fell through, so I had to figure out what to do. So Ma Beckford was kind enough to give me some strawberries that she hasn't had the opportunity to use, and she was worried about them going bad. And unfortunately, by the time it came to today and I was going to use them and I started rinsing them off, some of them had already gone bad. I did look online and it did say I could use some of them, but if they weren't touching and all this stuff, but I just said, yeah, we're just going to scrap that, because then I would have even less. I didn't have the huge amount of strawberries to begin with. Half of them were bad, so I only had like the smallest amount of strawberries, so I just said, screw that, they're done. Not going to try to worry about that. Better to be safe than sorry. So then I had to pivot. Oh yes, learning how to pivot. What fun. So I'm like, well, what can I do? And I was looking up different things of recipes that I have, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that, I don't have this, and there's not really a good substitution. And I didn't have enough chocolate chips, and I was like, well, what can I do with these chocolate chips? I have like maybe a quarter pound, it's like a half cup of chocolate chips. So I started Googling some more, and I found a chocolate chip cake recipe. And I thought, well, that might work, a mini chocolate chip cookie cake, because I really can't do cookies in the toaster oven. It's got a lot, I'm limited on how much room I have. And I was like, well, a cookie cake would be perfect, because that's just all in one thing. I don't have to worry about, yeah. So at any rate, this is where we're at. We're going to make some, a chocolate chip cookie cake. And so I've got my ingredients kind of ready. So you'll need like a half cup butter softened, so 1 stick of butter softened, a half cup of brown sugar, a quarter cup of sugar, 1 egg, and then either 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. If you want a gooier cookie cake, then you just use 1 cup of flour. If you want a firmer cookie cake, you would use 1.25 cups of flour. So there's a decision I'm going to have to make. I've been kind of going back and forth about it. A half teaspoon baking soda, a quarter teaspoon salt. So there's another thing, is we just ran out of my little container of salt, but we did get some sea salt for a recipe that we did recently. It was for the bean salad. And so I looked into that, and I can use that. Some bakers actually prefer the sea salt. If it's coarse, you want to use less, but you really don't want to use the coarse sea salt in baking. Maybe as on top, like a finisher, but not really in baking. So you'll want to like grind it, get it finer. But since it'll be finer, it'll have a different, I think, density or something than the regular iodized salt. So you want to use a little less sea salt. And from what I understand, the reason why some bakers really like using sea salt in place of iodized salt is because they feel it has a less metally taste. I guess the iodized part of it kind of gives it that flavor, so that's why they prefer the sea salt. And I'm like, all right, so we're gonna give that a try. And I don't know if I'll notice a difference or not. I never really tasted a metal kind of flavor. I will say I stopped using vegetable oil in my box cake mixes because I would taste the oil and I didn't like that. So I switched to either mayonnaise or applesauce are great substitutes. I know there are others, but I can't think of them right now, but those are the ones that I typically use. So anyway, let's get started. I always sit here and talk too much and don't do the things. So, their ingredients start with the wet. I'm going to start with the dry. So, I am going to put my flour, baking soda, and salt into this guy. And since it's such a small amount, I figured this might be easier for me to pour it into the mixing bowl that we're going to use later. So, I'm doing flour, baking soda, and salt. So I got my flour here. And I guess I'm going to do a gooier cookie, and I'm just going to use 1 cup of flour. Now remember, if you want a firmer cookie, then add that extra 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to kind of fluff it. I forgot to get a spoon. I always try to prepare, and then I'm like, oh, I need this, that, and the other, and then I get started. I'm like, oh yeah, I need this too. Yep, so remember, we're just fluffing it. We want it to stay light and airy. We don't want it to be packed at all, because then it's going to be too much flour. All right, just like that. Take your handy dandy knife and kind of level it off, kind of go back and forth with it. And then there you go. Perfect amount of flour. Put that right in there. All right, so I got the flour. Goodness, there we go, that Canberra. All right, flour, baking soda. Baking soda is a 1/2 teaspoon. So again, we're just gonna make sure we can get it. It's not, dried out. It's got a little bit of divot. We're using the lid and scraping that off, leveling it out. Right, and there it goes. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Yeah. All right, and now we need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So like I said, I'm using the sea salt, and it's got the little grinder thing on top. And I already did it, because I didn't want to be embarrassed not being able to do that on the video, but yeah. So I've got a 1/4 teaspoon is what it calls for regular iodized salt, but I put a bit less because of what I said earlier. So there's that salt right over there. All right, so that's my flour, baking soda, and salt, and we're just going to give this a little bit of a whisk. Just kind of mix that stuff in there really good. You kind of want to make sure it's combined well, so that way when you go to put it with your other ingredients, it'll work better. All right, so there's my dry ingredients, and I can move this here out of the way. That way we have more room to see each other and chat. And yeah, you want to preheat your oven at 350. Grease your pan. They did say you could use a 6 to 8 inch pan for, that little bit thicker of a cake. Or you can use a 9 inch pan to get a little bit thinner of a cookie cake. They suggested using those spring form round. I just decided to just use my go-to square 2-quart 8x8 baking dish. So that's where I'm at with that. All right, so now we're moving on to the wet ingredients. Move this guy over so you can kind of see. Plug that guy in. All right, so now I'm going to need to have my softened butter. I just, stuck it in the microwave for a bit and got it good and soft. Not melted. You don't really need it melted, but, just malleable. And since it's a little chilly in here, I did it a little bit longer, but I didn't want it melted. I still want to have it a little bit firmness to it, but not, needs to be malleable. All right, so I got that in there. So now I'm going to cream together the butter, brown sugar, and granulated sugar until it's creamy. So here is my brown sugar, and it is a 1/2 cup, and I've already packed it really nice and tight. So I just need to level it off, just like that. And it's going to come out like a mold. It's going to be a mold of this. All right, put that right there. I don't think I need it anymore, but we'll put them there just in case. Put that back. All right, so now I need my regular sugar. And I only need a 1/4 cup of this. Oh. A little bit more. All right, so I got it kind of heaping. Then we're just kind of, there we go. We'll throw that in there like that. Put that there. And look, guys, I'm doing better. Remembering to put my spoon back in my sugar for our coffee in the morning. Yeah. Guy away. All right, so now we have more room to work. Put my whisk attachment back on. All right, so we're gonna whisk this, beat it up until it's nice and creamy. Yeah, we want nice and creamy. You're gonna start off slow. So, you know, you don't want it flying out at you. It says it'll take 2 to 3 minutes, but you know, all these things vary according to your equipment, you know, stuff like that. Alright, it's looking good. So let's turn it off. And I still have some butter on here, so scrape this off. Get it all off the bottom, because you know it always sticks to the, you know, doesn't mix the bottom. But it's getting in there. All right. All right, let's see. I mean, it's getting there. Do it a little bit longer, see if it get a little bit creamier. Ooh, I think it's getting even creamier. I need to have a little more patience. I don't even think it was a minute. Trying to watch the timer on the video. It's definitely kind of like even fluffier, kind of a creamy. So I think that's what I'm looking for. I think it's been a minute and a half or so. So the color is getting lighter. It's not nearly as brown. Of course, they called for light brown sugar and I have dark, so that might make a difference as well. Give it a good mix. See, it's getting lighter, kind of fluffier. Let's give it just another little bit. Another like 15 seconds or so, I think. Alright. If I saw the numbers on the little timer there, I think it should be loads better. So I'm just going to give it a little mix, and then we're going to add in our 1 egg and our vanilla. I don't know, I'm finding a couple spots that are still kind of brown. A little bit longer. Just to make sure everything's fully incorporated, because later on I'm going to have to watch how much I mix when we add the flour. Oh, that's better. Yeah, I'm not seeing like really dark brown streaks in it now. It's all, you know, this nice pretty light kind of a brown. And any little bits of streaks that are left, it's okay. It's not as much as it was a moment ago. That was pretty loud. So now we're going to add our egg. And I'm kind of used to having to add an egg at a time, so I'm just going to go ahead and incorporate that in there a little bit. And then it gives you another option about the vanilla. You can do like one teaspoon or 1.5 teaspoons. I'm just going to do 1. I think typically I do 1 for cookies. I usually do the Toll House recipe that's on the back of the chocolate chips, but 1, I didn't have the bag of chocolate chips, and I could have looked up online, and 2, I didn't have 2 cups of chocolate chips, and I knew that's what it would call for. Alright, give this another mix again. right. So we're supposed to do this again until it's like creamy and smooth. You can kick it up a notch now. Alright. So I'm thinking it's fully combined now, and that should be good enough. Now we're going to add in our flour mixture. Again, I'm used to most recipes telling me to do this a little bit at a time, but since this isn't a very big amount, I'm just going to go ahead and dump it all in there. And then it says to do it on low. And again, you're just going to want to until it's combined. Don't over mix it. All right, Victoria, do not over mix it. Yeah, this part kind of makes a person nervous, so let's keep it low. I'm going to give it a little bit longer, and then I'm going to scrape everything. I just want to say thank you to those of you who have recently reached out or even commented. I really appreciate the comments. Really, really do. Those who have commented on my videos and stated that you were enjoying my videos. That is greatly appreciated, and it makes a person feel like what they're doing is, they should keep going. So I do appreciate that. But yeah, likes, comments, and a few of you have recently shared my last live video. I really do appreciate that because that really helps me to reach more people, and show me to more people in the algorithm of these social media sites. All right, so I think this is good. I'm not going to use that anymore. I think it is just combined enough. And I think I've gotten everything off this guy that I can possibly get off of there. So we're going to put that away, move this out of the way. All right. So now we are going to fold in our chocolate chips. Now, since I only have a half cup, they did say you could take half of them and chop them into smaller bits and then fold it into your batter so that way it stretches it out further. I'm not really worried about it. We're just gonna dump that right in there and call it good. Sometimes you get those little bits of cookie that doesn't have any chocolate chips. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. So we're just going to kind of like that one recipe where we just kind of folded it in. We're just kind of folding it in to help prevent over mixing. The Toll House recipe, I don't think it says anything about being careful about over mixing, but due to this being more cake-like, maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I've never had so many recipes told me to do it until it just combined. Before I only had one that I would make on the regular that told me that. Alright, so I'm thinking that is going to be well combined. Now, so now we're going to put it in our greased baking dish and we're going to level it out. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. My levels usually aren't very level. But that's okay. It still cooks well and it's delicious. Everything I've made, thank God, you know, we've eaten and it hasn't been terrible. When my son was younger and I was trying to figure out how to cook and I didn't have like, you know, the internet or even like really TV to help me, and I just tried to like do what I thought needed to be done, and then I try it and be like, oh my God, this is so gross. And then my son, but he was so young, he didn't know any better, he would always eat it. I told him he didn't have taste buds because he thought everything I made was good, and I was like, no, you poor thing, you just have no idea what good food is. But he's always been a really good eater of the fruits and vegetables and such. So here I am trying to just kind of mush this around in here. And again, that's probably going to mix it some more. Everything you do to it is just going to mix it some more. And again, this recipe is new to me. I haven't made it like this before. But I keep trying to do something new for you guys, so that way, I guess, even though it's embarrassing to screw up a recipe and have your rice turn to mush or your noodles disappear, I'm hoping that maybe I'm definitely learning something, and I'm hoping that maybe through my mishaps that you're learning something too, and maybe it's going to help you in the future. You'll know, oh yeah, that girl on the whatevers, she did this and oh my God, it was bad, so let's not do that. Alright. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. Alright, so again, I'm using a toaster oven. So I don't preheat my oven. So I'm just going to throw it in there. Let's see there. Got it at, it's a little higher. Got a little higher than 350, but not much. Oh, maybe I should show you. Yeah? Yeah, I think there might be more chocolate chips up here than, but that's okay. It'll be alright. Alright, so we're going to throw that in there. I've got it at about 350. I'm just going to go ahead and set it for 20 minutes. I'll check it in like 10 and rotate it. I have found that I have to rotate often in the toaster oven. You know, like anything else, it has a hot spot and a cooler spot. So I just try to keep rotating it around so that way it all cooks evenly. So a few notes for you. This video and the video I make next, I'm trying to figure out what to do with my ground beef still. I've come to my wit's end trying to do the Googles. So I reached out to my dear friend and told him my list of things, and he says he's got not a million, but he's got a plethora of recipes on his computer. He is way better at cooking than I am. He's more of a chef. I'm just, I don't know what I am, but it doesn't matter. I'm thankful to know him, and in time, I think he's going to find something really good for me that I can do with what I have and make a meal. But this video and the next video are going to be my last videos cooking with you guys in this way, because May 1st, May 1st is Friday. Yeah, and that's when we start running hard with the food truck, and we've already started, of course, building up to May 1st. We got our FSO license reinstated, our food service operation license, so we paid for that. We are this weekend cleaning the box fan. I mean, we cleaned it before we shut down, so it's going to be really easy to just wipe everything down and make sure that everything's copacetic. Turn all the burners on, turn the refrigerators back on, put water in the hot water heater, and test everything and make sure we don't have any issues. And I'm going to send our sanitation person an email asking if she can stop by on her way to work, because thankfully we're like on her way to work, so she can possibly stop by. Usually she doesn't have to spend a lot of time with us either, because of the fact that we don't really cook in the box fan, so I think that makes everything a lot easier. And we do our best to keep it clean and up to snuff, so that way she just walks in and it's like, wow, everything just looks the same as last time. And yeah, she'll check our temperatures in the refrigerator, in our warmers. We'll pretend we have food, and she'll make sure our pretend food is up to temperature, that our water gets hot enough, that our sanitizer. So I just use a simple bleach and water for our sanitizer, and it's like 2 tablespoons of bleach to a gallon of water. So, touch the pH balance of our bleach to make sure it's at the 220 parts per million. We did learn years ago that if you smell the bleach, you're not really cleaning, you're just adding more bacteria, which sounds crazy, you would think, but no, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I hate those chemically sprays. They always smell very strong. Sometimes Jody will use it to clean the bathrooms, and I'm annoyed because I'm smelling this horrible smell. So I do like using the bleach and water sanitizer, because you don't smell the bleach. What else? But I will be doing little videos, little live videos when we're on location. Hey, this is where we're at. This is what we're serving today. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to post to like the YouTube and the Rumble and the TikTok. I'm going to do my best, so I might have to do like a twofer somehow, do a live and then do a video. And then I have to find time to post all the things. Especially Rumble. Rumble is very time consuming. What they want a title, they want a description, what primary 1, cooking, primary 2, education, whatever. It's got a lot more into it. But I am going to test the waters when we start running and see what I can and cannot do, because it is just the 2 of us doing all the things. And I'm so used to when we have to season our chicken, I just get in there and season with him, and I'm going to have to try to remember to stop and kind of make him do things on his own for a bit so I can get some video to show you guys what we go through, maybe a little more behind the scenes if you're interested. Let me know what you're interested in knowing more about with our food truck and the life that we live rolling with the food truck. Yeah. So I am going to give you all a break. I am going to let that cook and take care of some other business. And yeah, I'll see you back in a bit. I think I might have overcooked it. But then again, I'm using the toaster oven, so that, I don't know. But we'll see. So let me cut a piece out. So it doesn't look terrible, yeah? You can see. The light, the sunlight, I don't have any sunlight today, so it's not helping me to show you. Well, it's not bad. That's not bad at all, guys. Even if I did overcook it, it's okay. The only thing that I think would make this better is if you do that trick that I told you about. I don't know if y'all saw that video or not. I probably shouldn't be giving out these kinds of secrets, but it's really not a secret. If you do a little research, I found a guy who took cookie dough and he made it and then cooked it. See how the cookies turned out. He made another cookie dough, let it sit in the fridge for a day, and cooked it up and tried it out. Let it sit in the fridge for 2 days. Let it sit in the fridge for 3 days. Through his experimenting, he found that leaving the raw cookie dough in the refrigerator for 3 days made the best chocolate chip cookies. They would be all, nice and crunchy on the outsides, but still all yummy and gooey in the middle. Yeah, that's how you do that. That's how you make that happen. And I think if I was able to do that with this, I think it'd be even better. But all in all, not bad, especially if you're impatient and can't wait for cookie dough to sit in the fridge for 3 days before you have cookies. I feel you. I totally understand where you're coming from, but trust and believe when I tell you it'll be better. All right, guys. Well, that's it for you today, and I will see you one more time for sure to make a meal. I kind of did things backwards this weekend because of situations that I had trying to figure out what to do. I had one plan and it fell, and then at any rate, not bad. Give this a try if you like. If you want the recipe, let me know in the comments and I'll share it with you. All right, guys, you have a great day and see you later.